Yo, man, what is going on, everybody, man? Welcome back to Free Smoke, man. Sunday fun day. We are once again here live, man, as everybody comes into the chat and into the live streams. Make sure you guys come in, man, hit that thumbs up and everything else. Hit that subscribe button if you are not subscribed already. We already got Mr. FaTKaT Shaq in the building. Notification squad, man. Appreciate you for joining today, man. Of course, let me go ahead and do this, man, so we know who we're talking about or who we got on here, man. Oh, somebody just X themselves out. What's going on here, man?
That was Paul.
Yeah, Paul. Anyway, Paul. I guess Paul's having difficult, technical difficulties. But anyway, man. So we are here, man. Hey, appreciate you guys for joining again. FaTKaT Shaq in the building. Jafari's in the building, man. Thank you for joining. As you guys know, man, I'm your boy FaTKaT. Of course, we got Illest the Ills right here. Illest the Ills 392, I should say, right here next to me. And of course, we got Garage Driven right there, man. We are in the building. BYOB. BY, bring your own drink. I prefer an adult beverage, but hey, you can bring water, soda, whatever it is that you prefer. It doesn't matter. But again, I prefer an adult beverage myself, if I must say.
Hey, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I think I'm having technical difficulties, man, because I'm like talking right now and nothing's happening.
So I can hear you. I can hear you, but you're like frozen.
You are frozen.
Yeah.
You are in Disney mode right now.
But yo, man. So Paul's gonna figure that out, man. But yo, we got Neil in the building, which is Garage Driven's brother. So big up to you, man. Appreciate you for joining today. Of course, we got Tim Gomango, man. What's up? What's going on? Salute, man. Oh, Callie's in the building. That is Garage Driven's significant other, man. His better half, man. So welcome. Thank you very much for coming in. Then we got Jason Buell as well, man. Got my Miller Lite. That's what I'm talking about, man. But hey, we got a special guest in the building for you guys today. Man. I'm excited to bring this guy in, man, this brother in. Man, super well-rounded guy, man, has a lot of stuff. Hopefully, that we could get some things out there on the table for you guys, man. A lot of things to offer, a lot of advice, a lot of just knowledge in general, man, because he's been doing a lot of this stuff even before YouTube, man. So we're going to try to get some things out of him, man. Hopefully you guys can learn a thing or two tonight, man. But man, my bro Garage Driven is having some big time problems, man. But hey, we are going to continue to roll. Hopefully he can get it together. But hey, let's go ahead and bring the man in himself. If you guys are out there in the YouTube world, in the virtual world, let's say it, man. If you watch his channel, you know how this goes. Mr. Will Motivation in the building. Let's say it again. Will Motivation. Will Motivation. Will Motivation. Man, we are here, man. What's going on, man? How you doing, bro?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you for joining the live today, man. Me and my co-workers. I guess this is the second job, right? But me and my co-host
Slightly.
Me and my co-host, man, are happy that you're in the building today, man. We greatly appreciate this. I know you're a busy man, and I know you got a lot of things going on. So glad you could take a little bit of time out of your Sunday, man, to come and join us today. But
my pleasure. Happy to be here, brother.
I appreciate that, man. So again, man, Garage Driven is having problems. Let me see. He's not even in backstage right now. So what we're going to do is, man, we're going to go ahead and roll through it. And like I said, hopefully he can, he could join us in the middle, man. But Will Motivation, man, I want to go ahead and kick this off the right way, man. Let's go ahead and introduce the people out there for whatever reason, if they don't follow you as closely, or maybe, for whatever reason, they don't. It'd be weird if they don't know who you are or whatnot. But let's go ahead and introduce them to Will Motivation, excluding the vehicles, because that's going to be, I want to ask that specifically. But let's go ahead and introduce them to who is Will Motivation, man.
Oh man, I consider myself just a regular dude, that with an irregular hustle. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a guy from the Midwest. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. from the inner city. Went away to school in Virginia at a historically black college and university called Hampton University in Virginia. Came out with a computer science degree. Had a love and passion for cars. And I'm a computer scientist. I'm a programmer. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an investor. I'm a family man. Got a couple kids. So it's a lot to it. But I have a passion for cars, man. So I ended up getting into YouTube to sort of justify the passion for cars because I had my eye on some exotic cars, and I wanted to get into the game, but I could never justify it. So I saw some other YouTubers, specifically I saw Stradman's channel, and I was like, this dude's actually starting to make money on YouTube talking about his experience with cars, and I was like, there's no reason why I can't do that, and I was looking for a reason to justify spending that kind of money on an exotic car. So I said, you know what, if I make a YouTube channel and my channel be different, because I want to tell people everything that I did to be able to get to where I was. And that would be like the underlying theme of everything I do on the channel. So that's how the channel came about, and that's a little bit about my background, but I'm happy to answer any, there's really no secrets with me, because I came from nothing. So, it's just a matter of learning things and knowing how to do things to kind of get where I was. So I like to share that anyway. So there's no secrets with me. So you can ask me anything, bro.
Well, I mean, you kind of breezed, you kind of glazed over a couple of things that really, I think, is like the meat and potatoes. So I think, like, for instance, you're saying that you started a YouTube channel and you want to show people how you did. But I mean, if anybody watches you, anybody knows about you, they know that your YouTube channel is not like, this is literally like your pocket change type of, money when it comes to income anyway.
Yeah.
So if as much as you can, let's talk about.
I don't have no secrets.
So let's talk about a little bit of those actual companies that you built. Like I said, I've actually met you a couple of times. We went out and I actually hung out with you, so I know we've had these conversations. But again, on this channel, I like people to kind of get that behind the scenes.
Yeah, let's do it.
And not the stuff that people get just on YouTube face value. So let's talk about those companies that you actually built, man. So I know you. So for instance, I know you got that social media company, right? So let's talk about that and where you started and how you've grown it, and then also into your big time real estate guy. So let's talk about a little bit about those things and basically how you sustain those.
Yeah, man, for sure. So like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I went to school for computer science. So I'm a programmer by trade. So I came out and started writing code as an engineer, a software engineer for AT&T Bell Labs, and I came up with the idea. So when I came out of school, I came out in the 90s, like 1995. I came out of college, and that's when the internet started getting hot. And I was always looking for like something entrepreneurial to do, because I knew like working a 9 to 5. Like at that time, I was making probably $37,000 a year. And I knew that after I got, they take the taxes out, I'm left with about $2,000 a month. And I knew like I buy a stereo and then I pay my car payment. I'm back to struggling again. So I knew that wasn't gonna get it for me. So I was like, I gotta have some kind of side hustle. I gotta start some kind of business. So I started like brainstorming all the time. Whoever sat down with me, man, I was always like running by ideas. Like, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think about this? So I had this idea. Like back then, there was no Facebook, there was no LinkedIn, there was no social networks. So I had the idea to do a social network, and they didn't even call it social network. I wanted to do like a registry. Like I wanted to. Originally, I wanted to do it from my college that I went to. And but I work with all these people that went to other historically black colleges and universities. They was like, well, don't just do it for your school, do it for my school too. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do the central, connection point for all the alumni that went to all of these schools. So I went and did some research, figured out which all the schools. There was like 107 of them, and I created a social network. I just rolled up my sleeves after work, come home, take care of my kids, put my kids to bed like 9 o'clock, and 9 o'clock till about 3 o'clock in the morning, man, I was building my own website, and I built my own database. I learned how to, I mean, like I'm telling you, this is like the beginning of the internet. This was like having pictures on on web pages was like that was like the new first web pages were just text.
Right.
Then adding pictures, and then I was like, I want to add. So they had like these websites for like eBay, and then they had car websites. So I was like, I kind of wanted to be like a car, where people can list their car, but instead of a picture of a car and information about the car, it's gonna be a picture of a person and information about a person. And like I said, man, it was like this was back before there was no Facebook, there was no model for this.
I was gonna say this was like a real Zuckerberg.
Yeah, bro. This story, like that's exactly what it was. A lot of people ask me why I didn't create something like Facebook, but I knew I couldn't compete. If me myself personally, if I could figure out how to do it, then I knew like somebody with millions of dollars to create a Facebook to go after the general market, they could out, their pockets would be deeper than mine. So I wouldn't be able to compete with them. So I never tried to go the route of mainstream. I figured I would stay in my niche, and I knew my niche, and I would build it out. So I built it out in 1999. It grew because there was nothing like it. It grew like wildfire. Everybody was telling everybody else about it. It went viral essentially, and I didn't have a way to make money with it for like from the time I started. And it wasn't really about money. It was more about just creating something that would be useful. And so I didn't create it like thinking I was going to get rich off of it. I had a passion for it. Like I used to wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh man, I got to add this feature to the website, or I got to fix this, or I got to fix that. So, it was a business that came out of a passion, and it grew, man. And I didn't start making money until a couple of years after I had been out with this website. And the way the money came, everything for this business has like been organic. Like everything, all of my clients have been organic. All of the money that I've made has been through things that came through the gravity of what I created, which was a community of ended up being over 1 million people that are anchored on this experience that they have with HBCUs. So I started getting these calls. I'll be at work, and the website was growing and it was doing. People were on it all day long and stuff. And I started getting these phone calls at work from these recruiters. And these recruiters are like, yo, we can go to these colleges and we can get access to students, but we can't get access to the alumni, which is what they really wanted, because alumni got experience, right? And there's millions of alumni out there, whereas students is 1,000, maybe 10,000 max on campus, whereas alumni is hundreds of thousands, millions of alumni out there. So they said they saw my website and they were like, hey, can we advertise on your website? Can we put our jobs on your website? Can we put our our brand and banner ads on your website? And so all of these things at the beginning of making money on the internet, all of these things were happening for me. So I got these companies that they wanted to pay, and I was like, okay, well, isn't there like a website that makes money doing that, like monster.com or careerbuilder.com? This was like before Indeed, all that.
Right.
Before LinkedIn, right? So I saw what they were doing. I saw how they made money. And I said, okay, well, I'll build that, right? So I took my Christmas break. I had like 2 weeks off. And I was in the basement writing code. I built an online career center where they could post jobs. Everything that Monster had, I basically built on my website. Everything that Career Builder had, I built it. And then I add my own little flavor to it for my audience. And then that next year I started making money. I made probably $8,000, on top of my little, 50 grand I was making at the time or whatever it was. Right. I made like an extra 8 grand. Then the next year I probably made 16. And then the next year I was like, I want to do this full time, and I got a business model. So what happens if I can instead of spending my nights and weekends on it, what happens if I come out and do it full time? And so I quit. I tried to get a package. I tried to tell my company, like they was laying people off anyway. So I tried to go to them and say, hey, let me holler at you. Talk to my boss and said, instead of firing, such and such, why don't you fire me and give me one of those little, severance packages? And they came back to me. They was like, nah, we need you to stick around for a little bit. So they didn't let me go. So I just quit, man. I told them, I said, I guess they think I'm bluffing. So a couple of weeks after handing in my 2 weeks notice, I quit. And it was just like one of those things where I was just going to step out and on faith and, and in my hustle. And I believed in I knew how hard I was going to work because I had already been working at 9 to 5 and then 9 to 3, 9 p.m. to 3 o'clock in the morning. So there was no question if I can get time to work my business instead of going to the job, there was no question I was going to put in the work. So I quit, got me a little $500 a month office space. That was probably like 500 square feet. I hired my brother. I hired my sister. I hired 2 guys I work with, hired my college roommate's sister. And I told them all, I was like, hey, we all in this is like with the same hustle. Like everybody's going to have to like be cross-trained to do everything. Everybody's going to have to do sales. We're all just going to hustle and like, we'll figure it out, And that was like 2004. And that was my first company that took off. So that company, that before I quit, I probably made like an extra 16 grand or something like that. And that next year we probably made, I don't know, probably like 200,000 or something like that. And then, it incrementally got probably doubled the next year and then doubled again. And then, we started making some decent money. And then, so I was like, you know what, this is the only thing I have. I don't have any guarantees. I don't have any like 401k. I don't have any retirement plan. So later on, I started thinking like after I had already been in the game, doing that business for about 10 years is when I got into the real estate. But before I started the real estate, I had been writing all of this software, like to run the social network, to interact with the database. And about 5 years in, I said, I'm going to make this software to where I can launch any kind of website on top of the software, like white label it basically. So I could have like a Latinx website. I could have a Black women website. I could have all of these little side websites. So when my clients came to me and said, we want to get exposure in front of this audience that I was building, but the audiences that were adjacent to my audience, I could build little communities for them as well. And then it gave more exposure to my advertisers. So I started a whole nother business for that software that I built. And I just called it Moss Interactive. And it was making, it started making a couple $100,000 a year just on advertising and people that wanted to use the software that I built. Like I had like a big magazine company. Matter of fact, TD1, Radio One, they own all these urban radio stations. They were using my software for years. So it was like a whole different business that just used that software, and they had to pay me or else they had to help me grow. And so that was the second business. And then later on, I had after working for about 10 years, I had about $300,000 saved up. And I was like, what am I going to do with this money that I saved? And I bought 4 properties with it. And I had to learn, like after that, that's when I started the real estate company. I had to learn that the smartest thing wasn't to take 300 grand and buy 4 properties. I should have took the 300 grand and used it as a down payment and bought, many more properties. Like I could have probably bought like 15 properties with that 300,000, using that as a down payment towards, $1 million or something, or 1.5 million, something like that. So that's how, that's the progression. Like, but my bread and butter, my biggest business is still that HBCU website, hbcuconnect.com, the social network.
That's your bread. That's still your bread and butter to this day.
Yeah. People think it's the real estate because I talk about the real estate more because I know more real estate is more
attractive.
It's like if I don't know anything about you guys, right? Like what your skill set is, I feel like it's very likely that you can make money with real estate no matter what your background is. With my other company, I'm a hardcore coder. Like you know what I'm saying? I had to go to school for 4 years. I had to learn math. I had to learn how to write code. And a lot of people, like you say the word math and they're out. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't push that side of the business as much, or that side of what I do as much, because the odds of somebody doing what I did with that business are low. Even if they did know how to write code. Like I know a lot of coders that never started their own business, you know what I'm saying, and took it to a multi-million-dollar thing. But like you could get, somebody could buy a piece of real estate and just get lucky and come up on a couple $100,000 on their own personal property.
Real estate's much easier to understand than coding. I don't know anything about coding, but I understand real estate. So you can attract far more people on things that more people can understand. Obviously, I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's why I talk about real estate, because I believe you could, just by buying your own home in the right situation and being patient, it could turn into something. Like my first house I bought when I worked at that 9-to-5, right? I bought that house for $160,000. That same time that I went to go work for, that same time I started my business, like in 1999, 2000. I still have that house, and now it's worth, double that. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't do anything, other than live there,
Right.
pay the mortgage, and now, if I went to go sell it, I would have massive equity, like 6-figure equity, and then that puts you on a different playing field a little bit. You can do some things. I could tap into that equity. I could buy another rental property. I could put my kids through college with it. It's an investment. Whereas if I told, if I said start a website or build an app, a lot of people will be like, yeah, I got this idea for this app, but they don't even know where to,
begin.
Yeah, like they themselves don't even know how to pick up the book, learn how to code, or teach themselves how to code. They might not have I don't want to say aptitude, you know what I'm saying, but like, for lack of better words, the interest, to learn how to code. But if you don't learn how to code, you got to go find somebody.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I know firsthand because we talked about this. I mean, by trade and my day job as well is IT as well. And when I was going for school for all of that, my background is more like networking and things like that, right? But when I went to school for all that, I had a coding class, the worst class ever. Like, I absolutely hated it.
Yeah, you even love
hated it.
Yeah, I hated that class. And most people hate it.
Yeah,
most people don't like it. For me, like, the way I got into computers is I used to have this computer, right? Somebody told my parents computers are the future, right? Mm-hmm. When I was in middle school, my parents listened to that person, and they bought a computer home for me. They didn't know what it was, you know what I'm saying? It was like a Commodore 64, like back in the 80s.
Had a Commodore 64. I was getting ready to say that.
Commodore
my first
64.
computer.
My mom and dad bought one. So you're going to know what I'm talking about. With the Commodore 64, if you just get the computer and you don't have no hard drive, you got to write the programs in order to do anything with it. So my mom and dad couldn't afford the hard drive, but they bought a modem, though. They didn't know what it was. But somebody told them to get the modem, like for $30 or something. So I had a modem and a computer. And anytime I had to use a computer, I had to open up this little book and write the basic program to make it work with the modem. And I don't know, I got fascinated with it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was writing the program. I had to debug it a little bit to get it to work. If I typed something wrong, I had to get the modem to work. And I was fascinated when the modem would start working, man. I was fascinated by that for some reason. So I had this little experience, and then when I went to college, I said, engineers make money, doctors, engineers, lawyers, and maybe computer people, right? So I don't want to be a doctor because I don't like going to the hospital. I don't want to be a lawyer because I don't like going to court. You know what I'm saying? But an engineer might not be that bad, and a computer person might not be bad. So I put engineering or computer on my college application, and they defaulted me to computer science. And the rest was kind of like history. I had a knack for it.
Yeah, that's kind of dope though, that your parents kind of set you on that path without even knowing. That's how things happen in life, right? Mm-hmm. Excuse me, my experience more with the Commodore 64 because I was younger, so it wasn't really my first computer. It was more my older brother's first computer. Mm-hmm. I have two older brothers, and the middle brother was more of the computer geek, I guess, if you want to call it, a computer nerd, right? Mm-hmm. And the middle brother, one right older than me, he was the guy that was taking apart everything and putting it back together. Like, he wanted to see how things worked. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with the computers. Like, he was that guy that he wanted to know how it worked. He didn't want to just make it work. He's like, how did it work? Mm-hmm. But my most experience with the Commodore 64 was even, we had this big old thing of floppy drives. Yep. We had to put it into the thing, right? Yep. And it wasn't as easy as stick it in and let it play, or let it come on. You literally had to write the code in order for that game to play, like load, asterisk, whatever the game was, asterisk, whatever. Like you literally had to like load. You had to know what the command was in order to get that game to even populate. And then once you had it, you hit enter or whatever it was, and the game was loading. You go take a shower, you go eat dinner, you go do whatever. You come back 20 minutes later, and it might be ready for you to play.
Yeah, that was my experience, man.
Yeah.
Imagine not even having that hard drive. Matter of fact, when I finally did get a hard drive, the only how we could afford it, we had to buy a broken one. So we bought a broken one, and it sat there collecting dust. But I knew what it was. I was like, you know what? It's gonna make my life a whole lot easier if I can figure out how this thing, why is it broken in? Man, I figured I opened that hard drive up, bro, and analyzed it, and I fixed it, not knowing nothing. I was probably like 12 years old or something like that. But I kind of was figuring it. I watched how it would work when it turned on. I watched why it would sit there and wouldn't work. But I was just curious, and I wanted to play the games, So, that desire to play games, man, it's crazy, dude. Like the things that have happened because I went that route. Like the guy that actually showed me how to use the modem and showed me how to get the games, he now works with me. You know what I'm saying? Like he's on my team now.
Full circle.
Full circle. I used to play Halo, right? I used to want to be like a game developer. Now Halo, the team that makes Halo at Microsoft, they're my client now. I just did a big event with them a few weeks ago, and I'm trying to help them hire more diversity for their team. Wow. It's crazy. Like one of my boys that I used to play Halo with, I got him an interview, with the studio that makes Halo. It's crazy.
I paid my bills in college by playing Halo tournaments.
Oh, really?
That's how I paid. Yeah, that was my first intro. My first intro to a computer was that shit? Oregon Trail on the Apple.
Oh, yeah. Apple. I remember Oregon Trail. Yeah.
That was, and we didn't even have a computer in our house until I think I was like 13 or maybe something like that. It was like a Gateway, if that is even still a brand. I don't even know. Gateway or something like that. A giant PC. Yep. And then that was and then I went off to college. That's how I paid I had to pay my car stuff, my car insurance and gas and stuff. On the original Xbox with that giant ass controller.
So it's coming back out, right?
Yeah.
It's coming back out in a couple months. I mean, next month.
I still have my original Xbox somewhere in this house. But we played Halo tournaments, and that's how I paid my bills. I took my little proceeds from my part. That's how I paid my bills.
That's dope, man. I never got into the tournaments, but I was ranked. I was like top 1%. Mm-hmm.
We had a whole floor like in our dorms where we were for sports. It was like all the girls were on one floor, and then it was guys and then girls and so forth. I don't know how this worked out, but literally everybody on our floor, it was the third floor. I remember like it was yesterday. Literally every dude played Xbox. Every dude played Halo. So just all the doors were open, and we all had like LAN tournaments and stuff, and that's how I got involved.
Love playing Halo. I can't wait for it to come back out, man.
Yeah, the original was it, but that's years ago.
Yeah. But I was avid on that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
Absolutely.
Hey, so that's crazy, man. Because like I said, it's just we're gonna move on here a little bit because we're probably losing a bunch of younger guys. Are like, what the hell are these old ass dinosaurs talking about? but it's funny though, man, because to touch back on what you were talking about when you first started your business. Again, my brother was that computer nerd, and talk about a little bit before. Now, granted, he didn't roll with it the way you did, but I remember him staying up super late at night after his day job, and he was one of the first guys that I knew that were taking, because back in the day, like car stuff was only you went to the car shows and you only seen them in magazines. He was one of the first guys that I remember. Now, granted, I was a teenager at this time. He was one of the first guys I remember that were putting it online. Internet was just starting, and he would go to all these car shows, local car shows, take pictures of everything, go home, upload the pictures, write about them. So basically like a blog. Yeah. And I remember that he was doing this stuff, and he had a job at Lockheed Martin at the time, which back then, in the late 90s was like super coveted, even to this day, right? With a Lockheed Martin. No college experience or nothing. He was just that smart and that good that they hired him. Anyway, but point being is, it's unfortunate that he never actually took it and ran with it. But he was one of those guys that was kind of ahead of his time too. So you and him, and I think you guys are around the same age as well, man. You and him were probably doing the same exact thing at around the same exact time. He just took it and ran with it, and unfortunately, he didn't go that route. But That would have been dope, to kind of be like, yo, my brother does the same thing. He has this company. You might have, you got that company. Y'all, it would have been started at the same time. But let's go ahead and move on, man. If you will, if you don't mind, Will Motivation, man. Let's get to a little bit more attractive things. Again, that was, how you got your start and everything else, and that's what runs or who is Will Motivation, man. But let's get to a little bit of the more attractive things and
lures.
Fast forward to exactly. Let's fast forward it to today. Now, granted, I myself again have had conversations with you about this, but I think our guy, Modern Day Muscle, as a matter of fact, in the background, he's running all of our background stuff, man. So big time shout out to him. Let's go ahead and pull up your first car. Well, I guess attractive things that you've had, your shiny toys, and again, I know we've had these conversations and you've talked about them on your channel before, but each one of these cars have a significant meaning of where you were at that particular point in your life.
Yeah.
And you've named them for particular reasons. So we're going to go ahead and get into that, man. So let's go ahead and pull up the first one of your shiny new toys. Now, granted, I know that there's a lot of cars in between this, but I know these are like the main ones that kind of attract people.
Yeah.
So what is this car? What is his name? And let's talk about why you named it that and what it was that what this car meant to you at this particular point in your life.
All right, so the name of this car is the Green Goblin, obviously because it's green, but that green and that orange combination. I don't know if anybody remembers Spider-Man, the Green Goblin, right? But the Green Goblin and Spider-Man had 3 colors. He was green, purple, and orange. He had these little orange pumpkin bombs that he used to throw. And whenever I look at this green and this orange, it reminds me of the Green Goblin, and it's kind of mean, I don't have any purple on it, but this one was just more for fun, man. It was a car that I knew. What up, Catfish? It was a car that I knew that I wasn't probably gonna keep forever when I bought it. So the naming of it wasn't as significant as the other couple of cars, like Knowledge and Action, right? But the Green Goblin, man, it's just a car for fun. It's a Lamborghini Gallardo 550-2. It's a rear wheel drive. I had it for a little over a year. I bought it out in California. It was kind of cool because I bought it in California, and then I got to drive up to do Car Week with it, like that big Monterey Car Week event. So I got to drive it after I bought it. But man, it was crazy. The story with that car, the biggest thing, that was the craziest thing that happened with that car. Ran great, fine, perfect. Drove it like 6 hours up to Monterey. When I was driving it back, I took a different route. Like when I drove it up, I drove by the coast. It was cool. When I drove it back, I drove through the desert because it's supposed to be quicker. And my the AC went out. And it was like 120 degrees.
Woo.
And the AC went out, bro. 120 degrees. So I was afraid that the car was going to overheat.
Overheat, right.
But it never ran like a rock solid. But
you were just overheating.
Yeah, so I was in there cooking. But it was so hot, man, that when I rolled the windows down, believe it or this is crazy. I rolled the windows down and the air that came in the car was hotter with the windows up with a black roof. That's crazy. I've never experienced
the breeze doesn't even feel good at that.
I couldn't believe it, bro. 118 degrees. It was so hot that it was like if you broke down on the side of the road, you have to worry more about your life probably than in the snow, like getting broke down in the snow. So anyway, I made it. I ended up getting the AC unit replaced back in Columbus, Ohio, when I got it shipped back home. But it drove fine, other than the AC going out. That's my little story with that car.
All right, so that's the Green Goblin, man. So let's go ahead and roll into the second car. So this is the second car that's going. As a matter of fact, this is the second of these cars that you've had. So I think this is actually when you had your first one, when I started watching, because you had your whole oh my God, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Tall guy?
No, the motivation guy. I'm here in my garage or whatever, and I know what's his name?
Knowledge, Ty Lopez.
Ty Lopez.
No.
Yeah, because at this point I was kind of watching a lot of those videos, and I know you did like a little spiff of Ty Lopez, and I think this is one of the first videos that I watched of you when you had the car in the background in the garage and you was talking about it. Anyway, so let's go to talk about this one. And if you want, you could touch on the first one and where that first one ended up, and then and then into this one.
So so this is my dream car right here, and it's interesting because buying a Gallardo, that Green Goblin Gallardo was my third Gallardo. But my first Lamborghini was a Gallardo, cost me about $100,000, right? So jumping to my dream car, which is a Lamborghini Huracan, that's a big jump, from $100,000 to $200,000, right? So I was like, okay, so I had the YouTube going and everything, and this was my dream car, and this right here is a 610-4. This is the exact spec that I wanted, everything, right? Now I bought another Lamborghini Huracan, but it was a lower spec. It was a 580-2. It was a rear wheel drive. It was about 20 to 30 grand cheaper, and it was like $28,000 cheaper. And but it wasn't really my dream car because it had a different look to it and a different spec to it. It was still a Huracan, but I knew I wanted one of these. So eventually I found one of these, and I could justify the money being spent upgrading or whatever. So I traded that. I had a white Lamborghini Huracan that I called Knowledge, and then I got this one, and I call this one Knowledge 2.0. And that first one ended up getting bought by a lady in Sarasota, Florida. They had a night out with probably drinks and good spirits on New Year's Eve or something. And they drove it. They were on their way home and they crashed it. They totaled it. And the Goon Squad bought it. So the Goon Squad are huge YouTubers, probably well over 1 million subscribers. I think almost 2 million subscribers at this point. And they actually helped me grow my channel because I reached out to them and said, hey, yeah, that's my old car right there. And it was funny how I figured it out because at first I didn't realize it. But I started looking at little details and putting pieces together. Then I put up my Carfax and I saw that it was wrecked. I was like, oh, okay, that's my old car, right? But anyway, this is my dream car. I don't see myself getting rid of this car. If I did, I would just get another of the same kind, maybe with lower miles on it. But it's an all-wheel drive Lamborghini Huracan. It's supercharged. It's probably a 9-second car. I've done the quarter mile without the supercharger at 10.5 seconds. And I imagine with the supercharger, it's probably running 9 9s in a quarter mile. It's fast. It's ridiculously fast.
And the supercharger is out of it was a VF engineering, right? Out in Cali. Yep. So again, this one, his name is Knowledge, right?
2.0.
2.0. So real quick, if you can explain why did you call this car Knowledge?
So for me, like I wanted to create some significance, and I wanted it to be a character on my channel. And so I wanted to give it a name that has some significance. And for me, in order to get this car, I had to invest in my own knowledge. And so for me, whenever you look at this car, you got to think about what it took to get it. And it took knowledge. Like I had to learn a whole lot about running a business. I had to learn a whole lot about being able to build with some type of skill. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I wanted to be a character on my channel, and I wanted it to represent something. So for me, knowledge made sense. That was it.
What's everything that you have done? Obviously, the wrap. What's the color of that wrap?
So it's called a satin red chrome by Avery Dennison.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
it looks like a fuchsia color in this picture, but I've seen that satin red chrome. It looks really good.
I love it, man. I saw a YouTube video. I saw one other car that had with the black roof and everything, and I was like obsessed with it, man. I used to watch that video almost every day and think to myself, that's my dream car. I want a car like that one day. And it was overseas, like in Italy or someplace. So I never saw one in the United States. So I wanted to be the first one to have this wrap in the United States.
I see a lot of these. I think there's a lot of companies that do them up, but I know Underground Racing does a lot of these Huracans.
Yeah,
and the old Gallardos too, which they're making like
stupid,
just ungodly amounts of horsepower, setting every record in the known world with these things.
Yeah, the Huracan, I think they're like the fastest in the 2 mile or the mile or something like that with Underground Racing's kit.
You have any plans to do anything like that?
Not with this car because I'm good with the supercharger. But Who knows, man? It's possible. It's possible, but the way it is right now, like I wouldn't want. I mean, I don't want a faster car for the street. Like it's stupid fast. Like it's a 9-second car. Like going faster than 9 seconds is ridiculous.
And on top of that, let's not. I mean, I guess it's good to mention that you are in Ohio, so you do get the cold weather, you do get the snow and things like that. And granted, I'm sure you don't probably drive your cars, these cars, because you have a couple other cars as well that use for daily drivers. But I mean, but you do have that inclement weather that per se you don't have, like we're down in Florida, that you can use your car literally year round and not even have to worry about it.
Yeah, the all-wheel drive. Yeah, so and I mean, I'm looking. I might be your neighbor here in a minute.
I seen that.
I'm looking. I got my eyes open down in Florida.
So let's go ahead and so let's move on to your last one. So, I got to sit in Green Goblin before you sold it, and then I got to ride in this one. Knowledge, I think, was off being done. I think he was getting your supercharger at the time. No, you were getting your new rack done. When I came by.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and talk about this one, which is your newest shiny toy. Well, not I won't say your newest, but as far as shiny toy.
Yeah, it's my newest. It is.
Is it your last? No, well, you got some other ones. You got your what do you call it? The Jeep. You got the Jeep, right?
Oh yeah. I got my Gladiator.
You got the Gladiator.
I gave that one away. I got to do a video still.
Exactly, but yeah. So you got some other toys before that, but this is like your newest big shiny toy.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So let's go and talk about this one, what it's called, what it is, the significance of it, the name, and everything else.
Okay, so this one is my 2013 Lamborghini Aventador. The doors go up. a lot of people like that, but to me, it's funny because I don't care that much about the doors going up. But it's a beast. It's a V12. I'm not gonna lie and say that this was my dream car, but to be honest, the reason why this almost like wasn't my dream car, because I felt like it was so unattainable. When you look at how much they cost brand new, like when they came out, I was like, I can't see myself ever spending that much money or having that much money to buy a car like that. Mm-hmm. So it was never like in my dream, but like if I had a message to say, like, you should always dream big. Like you never know how your life can go. You know what I'm saying? Like my life has gone, like I've always wanted to have a good life, but some of the things that have happened in my life, I could not have predicted that have been better than I would have ever expected. But if you dream big, man, and you start walking in the direction of that dream, then things just start to happen. You start to get gravity. So this thing became a reality for me. I did buy a used, so it's not like $300,000 or $400,000 car, but I mean it's an expensive car. And I call this car Action because you got to have knowledge, right, to be able to do some things. But without action, you don't have anything. And so for me, like it was kind of like taking sort of a leap on this one. I financed this car, and it was like, okay, I'm the kind of person like, where I'm gonna tell you a quick story real quick. I got ready to sell my house where I live now, and I put it on the market, and I bought a cheaper house, right? And then I went to live there, and I was like, I'm a lower my standard of living so that I can live easy, right? I'm gonna have a cheap house. I'm gonna pay it off. I'm not gonna be worrying about no cars, none of that stuff. But I went there and I almost felt like I was getting ready to die. Like I was shutting down my life to go die and live easy and just wither away. And I was like, nah, I'm not built like that, man. I'm not built like that. I like to get in the mix of things. I work under pressure. I have responsibilities. And so this was just one of those things. I'm gonna take action. And I'm gonna make action. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna take this thing out. I'm gonna get this loan. It's gonna be a big car payment, but I'm gonna hustle up like I always do. And so for me, this action was what made sense with this and what it represents. At the point in life where I got this car was like, I gotta finance this car, and I'm gonna have to come up with a couple $1,000s a month. But I'm gonna do it. I'll figure it out. I already had like how I'm gonna do it, but it's just gonna be some work. So that's what the name of this car is. That's kind of like where I was at, about a year ago when I got this. And so I'm gonna give you an exclusive if you want it.
We'll take it.
I'm gonna give you exclusive. So Tuesday I'm going to go pick up the next V12.
Woo!
Tuesday I'm going to go pick up the next V12, and I'm gonna tell you what it is. I haven't told nobody.
I was about to say, I was like, do we get what it actually is? Go ahead.
But can you guess what it is? It's not a Lambo.
It's not a Lambo. V12. I would say V12, but not a Lambo.
Can you give us a price range?
Yeah, that's a good one.
200 grand, but that's low for this car.
Hey, I want some people in the comments to kind of guess as well. I know everybody's
in the comments could guess what
fascinated sitting back. Kind of
Is it
fascinated sitting back just listening to your story. I want them to kind of guess as well.
The Ferrari, yep.
Is it the Berlinetta?
It is.
Oh, I was gonna let people guess.
You know why?
Anyway,
because that's probably the F12 Berlinetta.
That's correct.
Is my favorite Ferrari.
That's it.
I've looked at it too.
It's going. We're going Tuesday to go get it. I have a new co-host on my channel that I'm gonna introduce, but I'm not gonna release the video though until next month, like around Christmas. So this is super exclusive. Like this is nobody else on the internet knows about this. So I'm gonna go pick up a black on black F12 Tuesday, and then I'm gonna release a series of 3 videos on Christmas. One video will be the collection video. The next video will be first drive video. I hope it's not snowing, but it'll be a first drive video, and the third video will be getting the guts redone.
We need to find a picture of that F12 Berlinetta. Those things are just nasty, man. There's a lot of, obviously anything Ferrari makes is pretty slick, but those Berlinettas are just a separate thing.
It's got the best. It's the best sounding car. I never heard it. For sure. Yeah, it sounds crazy.
Yeah, those things are it's just straight nastiness. It's a separate level of Ferrari to me.
What color are you getting it in?
Black on black on black.
Black.
It's got
4 G. Partial to black, so I like that too.
4 Giottos already on it.
There you go, right there. That's it, right there. Look at that.
Black interior, black. I believe it's got 22 inch in the back and 21 inch in the front.
That is going to be disgusting.
Yeah, it's blacked all the way out. The front, the emblems are blacked out. The horses are blacked out. Got some black 4Gs on it. The black. Now I'm getting the interior redone, and the bright Ferrari red.
What year is it?
14.
14. Okay.
The 14, and I'm using one of my real estate investments that I started building 3 years ago to pay for my Huracan. I'm using that investment to pay for this Ferrari. And it looks like Jafari got it right. Ferrari F12 as well. Yep. There you go, your exclusive, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Hey, for those of you guys that are out there, man. Oh, matter of fact, let me go ahead and take an intermission, man. If you did not like yet, man, make sure you guys smash that like button on the way in. Make sure you guys share this video with everybody else, man. Again, we got Mr. Will Motivation in the building today. And look at that, man. We get exclusives out here, man. Y'all better tell y'all friends. Y'all better tell y'all family. Y'all better get on this channel, man. Free smoke is where it's at, man. We are bringing out exclusive for you guys. And like I said, man, just getting out just general knowledge and information. Like I said, behind the scenes type of things all the way through, man, through and through.
I have a question for you. When you get these cards, Jordan, bring up the Berlinetta again, if you can. When you look, yeah, that was just straight nasty. Black on black on black. Black on black is my thing too, so I'm 100% behind that. So when you go to get these cars, do you have someone you go through? Do you just search online? How are you finding your cars?
Both. So I first start by searching online. So I'm going on on my mobile. I have the apps for Auto Trader, Cars.com, and Car Gurus. And I like Car Gurus because it'll tell you if something is comparing the values for you. So you don't have to manually see what's a good deal or what's not. Mm-hmm. So Car Gurus, I do that for months to kind of get an idea what's a good price and what's not. Because what I'm trying to do, because these cars are so expensive, what I'm trying to do is get it at such a good price by being patient, right, that I can drive it for like a year or two and then sell it for right around the same price. Like to give you an example, I bought a really nice Gallardo for $88,000 about a year or two ago, right? I bought it for $88,000. It needed like a gasket, oil gasket or something that I had to fix. I sold that car for $106,000, I believe. After having it for like a year, I had my Huracan. I bought for $208. It's worth $200 right now. You know what I'm saying? So I try to get a deal. Now this is an exclusive too, because I'm not gonna say this on my channel. But that car only has 6,000 miles on it. A F12 with that spec and that mileage should be going for 220-ish, like 220-ish. I got this one for $199. And they're like super exclusive because, so to answer your question, I was shopping, right? And I was patient. So I was like, I hit him up a few times. I'm like, yo, I'll buy that one from you, but you got to give me like the deal. Like you got to give me a real deal. And nobody wanted to buy it because Ferrari guys like to have the OEM wheels and everything.
Right.
So this one has aftermarket wheels on it. So nobody was really messing with it. But I like the wheels that are on it. So I've been talking to him for about 2 months. And the guy that sold it to me is the same guy that sold me my last car and my first Huracan. So this is my third deal with them. So they got like
a connection.
Yeah, so like hook me up, bro. You know, I bring 3 deals to you.
There you go. Jafari.
Yeah, I got it for the low. And with only 6,000 miles on it, I could put 10,000 miles on it and sell it for like $195 or something like that. So,
I asked that question just because I know, a lot of the guys that are out there, like the JDM world, that look for Skylines and Supras and things like that. Those just don't fall out of a tree. You have to like really hunt for those things. And obviously the F12 isn't like, 458s and 488s are, I don't want to say abundant, but they're obviously far more common than something like that. So I didn't know if that was just something you browsing around on Car Gurus or
there's
something you knew somebody.
Yeah, there's probably like at any given point in time, you might see like, I don't know, 25 of them out there or something like that.
Right.
Maybe 30 of them out there. But I believe, having watched like the exotic car market, I believe the F12 is not going to go like 190s is like the bottom, because you're like right there with a Huracan right there.
Right. So
they're not going to. I think what's going to happen is eventually when they come out with whatever's after the A12, then these are going to start going up. Because Ferrari, that's what Ferraris do. They hit like a bottom and then they start going up. Like 458s, they're going up.
Right.
What is the other one? 488s. I don't think 488s are like holding wherever they're at, but 458s are going up. Like you wouldn't believe. Like just about a year ago, they were lower than what they are now. Now they're like $200,000 for a 458. Like 2012 or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of people like them 458s more than 488s.
Yeah, like I wanted to buy the one from Goon Squad. Like, wouldn't that have been like perfect poetic justice? But they're doing like, I talked to them about it. They said they would sell it to me, but they didn't give me a price because they were focused on building this house. And so, but who knows, man? Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I wanted to buy that 458 that they had.
Hey man, so last little thing I wanted to get out of you, Will, if you must. Like I said, we talked about these cars, and by the way, let's not forget that Will's had all kind of Audis. He's had freaking GT. Well, he had the GT2, right? RS, or GT3 RS.
I had a GT3.
GT3 RS that he had for literally felt like 2 weeks. Then he got rid of that.
Yeah, I'm not a Porsche guy. I like him, respect him, but I'm not a Porsche guy.
He's had multiple Mopars, Hellcats, and whatnot. I mean, this guy. I mean, so these are his babies that he kind of showcases. But let's not forget that he has a couple other things that's just sitting in the driveway that he doesn't really. You just see him in the background, like just out there. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I also want to bring up something else, man, real quick. A little known fact I didn't even know, and I watch you all the time. I didn't even know this. So a little known fact of Mr. Will Motivation, man, this guy is fluent in Spanish. So how did that come about, man? Like, I mean, when I say fluent, I mean, he's fluent. Like you would think that he was like Dominican or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's funny you say that.
So how did that come about, man? Like I said, I think that's a little known fact from people that watch you that you know that you're. If people do watch you, they know that you do fly to certain Latin American countries. You know, back when we were able to travel a lot and things like that. So if they watch you, they know that, or if they follow you, they know that. But how did that come about as far as you being fluent in Spanish, and all that? You know what I'm saying? And how that, you know, applies to your life now.
So you know, like I took Spanish in grade school and middle school and high school, right? But you don't know when you come out of high school and stuff, you don't really know, like you could say hola and you could say some objects, right?
Yeah.
Como estás and gracias, you know.
It's tourist Spanish is what I know.
You know,
muy bien, gracias, y usted.
Yeah, enough to get by.
So, but I had a feeling, like in grade school, I had a feeling that I was going to need to know Spanish, and that I was some kind of Spanish was going to be important to me. There was something about it. So I always took Spanish, no matter, like I never tried to take French and German and all that stuff in high school, right? So I always took Spanish. So I was kind of familiar. And I started traveling after I graduated from college. Like I went to Puerto Rico, and for some college work that I did, I got to go like for free or whatever, and they meet some people at these colleges and stuff. And I loved it. Like it was different from the United States. I was like, man, we got to go back, but I want to go back on vacation. So I took my brother. My brother was fluent in Spanish, my oldest brother, because he worked with some Cubans in the YMCA for years, and he became fluent. So I took him with me on vacation. We were like, man, this is great. We need to start traveling Latin America every year. Like that's just going to be what we do, right? It's going to be like a tradition. The next year we went to the Dominican Republic because he got to pick where to go. And we went there, man, it was crazy. When we went to Dominican Republic in the 90s, bro, 1996, there was no tourism, American tourism. Wasn't nothing. It wasn't.
No Punta Cana.
Nah, no Punta Cana, Santo Domingo. Like we got off the plane, it was pitch dark. There was barely street lights. It was fires everywhere and stuff. So it was a shock, but we started to get to know people while we were there, and people were really nice to us. You know, like being like one of the few Americans to go travel down there, right? So we went to a restaurant, and I was talking all this stuff about how beautiful the waitress was that served the table. And next thing you know, my buddies down there, like this one guy we met, told her all the stuff I was talking. She gave me her phone number, and I had to learn Spanish. And you know, I got to know this lady. I'm thinking I'm gonna go back to visit, and she could show me around. And I started getting to know her more. And next thing you know, I'm in a 3-year relationship and a 90-day fiance. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of that 3 years. So I ended up getting married to a Dominican after dating for like long distance for like 2 or 3 years. So in 1999, she came to the States. I had 2 kids, you know, half Dominican. We bought 2 houses down there. You know, because real estate is cheap. Like you get a condo, 3-bedroom condo for $50,000, brand new. So we got 2 of those. You know, got one in this city. I sold mine, but so anyway, I got married to a Dominican, and I had 2 kids that are half Dominican, and I had to learn Spanish because she didn't know any English. And you know, once she got to the United States, it took her, you know, like about a good 2 years to learn English. So that whole time, you know, my Spanish is getting better, and I got comfortable speaking Spanish. And you know, 9 years later, I get a divorce, and I'm like, I'm gonna start traveling some more. So I go to Brazil, I go to Colombia, and Colombia, I found out Colombia is where it's at. Like Colombia is the best place that I've ever visited. I haven't been to Panama, so Panama might be where it's at.
You gotta go to Panama. You
know, I haven't been there, but out of all the places I visited, I love Colombia because it has like some of the conveniences of the States, and then people are still nice and have their culture. So I was like, and my brother was down there. And then I introduced my brother to Medellin. He liked it. He moved there. He's been there. He's married now to a Colombian. So I go down there and visit him and hang out with him. Like I try to go like every 2 or 3 months.
Hey, ask Ma the Fame about Panama. He's been there.
I've heard good things. I've heard good things. Yeah, that's on my list. So next time you go back, send me that invite.
Oh, for sure. I'll definitely take you over there.
Yeah, I would love to.
But hey, man, Illest the Ills, you got any more questions for Will? Oh, look at that garage dripper might be coming in now. Look at this.
Yo, man, my journey is it's kind of crazy, bro.
What is this guy doing?
He's on the cell phone now.
I'm on my phone, bro. I had no choice, man.
Oh my god. Hey, but Illest the Ills, man, or even garage dripping now that you're in, man. You guys got anything that you guys specifically want to ask Will?
Damn, I can't even think off the top of my head right now, bro.
I know I put you on the spot.
Where are you from?
Where you from? Yeah, Trinidad.
Oh, okay.
That's
Cool.
where I was born, but I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, though.
Okay. Yeah, my family is from the Caribbean, from Bahamas.
Nice. All right. Yo, so for like someone that's a beginner for like that wanted to get into what's up?
My bad, garage dripping.
Oh,
speak of the devil.
Fame, what's good stuff? Hey, I owe you a call back, brother. Thanks for checking in on me. I saw that, man. I've just been getting pulled in so many different directions.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, yo, Stephen was on last week, right? And we had mentioned you. I said, Will Motivation will be on next week. He was like, hey, hold on. He's a matter of fact. He's like, he's supposed to be calling me back.
Yeah,
I was like, oh man. I was like, I got Will in trouble.
I had to throw that apology out there. I'm sorry, my brother from Trinidad.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
Go ahead, garage dripping. My bad to interrupt you.
I want to get to real estate. Like, what do you think is like a good starting point? Like, I would say financially. Like, what do you think I need to have to fall back on, or to
from a how much money you would need to have, like, to get in?
Yeah. What do you suggest? Yeah.
Well, so if you don't have any real estate at all, I always, like, for me, it seems like the easiest way to get into real estate is to buy where you live. Like, buy, because you're paying like I tell my tenants, even, like, I got tenants that some of them are my friends or my family and stuff. I'm like, okay, you're paying me rent, right? And then, I might not charge you what I could charge you, but all this money you're paying in rent, if you bought this house, that would be going towards equity in that house for you. And then you could pull that equity out. And then if you want to invest in real estate, you got a little bit of equity in the house that you live in, and you can pull that equity out and then buy property. But if you already have your own house, like, you already are building up some equity in your own house, my situation, I think, is a little abnormal because I had about $250,000 saved up when I got into real estate. So it had been 10 years of me grinding on my business, and I had, like $250,000, $300,000 saved up. And so I went out and bought like 4 houses with all my money. You know what I'm saying? Now what I've learned is, after I did that you only need 20% as an investor, or even less than that. 20% is usually the max that you need to pick up an investment property. But like, if you only have one house or you don't have any houses, you can get your first house with a consumer loan. It doesn't have to be like an investor loan. So your down payment could be anything from 0 to 5% to 10% or something like that. So that's whatever the price of the house is, you're going to need that's like a small percentage of that to go to a bank and say, hey, I'm ready to buy this property. I have some money to put down, like some skin in the game. And either I'm going to live there, fix it up, and then rent it out, or I'm going to live there, fix it up, and sell it, or I'm just going to buy it and turn it into a flip, or buy it and turn it into a rental. But you got to have, and it depends on the market. So like, New York is going to be a whole different ball game than Georgia or Ohio or Texas, right? So like, when I started buying real estate, the market was at the bottom in 2009, 2010. So I was getting properties for like, believe it or not, man, I got a property for $28,000, $35,000, $50,000. You know what I'm saying? So, but in New York, it might, you might have to look outside it. Like, if I was in New York or something like that, I don't know where you are now, but if I was in a market where it was really expensive, I would be looking outside. Like, if I was in California, I'd be looking at Vegas. If I was in New York, I'd be looking at like Pennsylvania, or like, I don't know, something probably maybe upstate New York. You know what I'm saying? Buffalo or something like that. Some little market where the price of the houses is lower. I will be looking. That's what I'll be looking at.
What do you think? What do you think about for like Florida? I'm in Florida. That's why
I like Florida, man. But you know what? At the same time, Florida was cheaper. Was like when I was buying houses in 2010. But now, like y'all's prices done gone up.
It definitely skyrocketed. It's definitely gone up.
But here's the thing, though. Okay, so here's my advice. So when the right. So when the market is high, I do flips. So the market to me seems high right now. So I'm buying houses and I'm like fixing them up a little bit, and then I'm selling them. And I'm taking the cash and I'm going to reinvest it and buy another one. And then I'm going to sell it. Now, if the market ever crashes, like everybody asks me, aren't you worried about getting caught out there? Like when you buy one and the market crash? No, I'm not. I might be caught out there with that one property, but if the market crashes, I'm going to go, that means everything's cheap. So then I'm going to go like try to make up the difference, and I'm going to go buy some cheap properties. And then that one that I'm stuck with, I'll turn it into a rental or something. And then when it comes back, then I'll sell it or keep it as a rental or whatever. But that's what happened. Like with me personally, like I had a condo that I bought while I was going through a divorce. When I was ready to move into a house again after the divorce was over, I wanted to sell the condo, but I was stuck with it because the market dropped and I was going to lose 40 grand. And I was like, wait a minute, like people willing to sell their houses for that cheap, you know, that fast, let me buy them. You know what I'm saying? So like that's how I got in, you know.
So I would say, so I mean, this is literally what Martha Fame just said. He said, how did you buy 4 houses, $250K?
Yeah, man. And everything's going remote right now. Like everybody's jobs is remote and stuff, like work from home. It's gonna be like some changes, you know. I think it's gonna be some changes, people moving to different places and stuff.
Already
I would ask you this, man. Like I know you deal more with like single family homes and things like that. What is your opinion on like commercial real estate? You know, as far as like offices or even like whatever, I guess apartments or multiple family homes, so like duplexes and things like that, or quads, you know what I'm saying, when you got multiple, like what's your opinion on that? Because I guess that'd be more, I guess in my head, and we had kind of had this conversation when we were at dinner one day or lunch or whatever it was. Yeah. It's kind of more like for me, I think that'd be more like passive income. Nothing's really passive, but more like passive type income versus buying a house, flipping it, or you know, buying single family homes and making sure that there's always a tenant in there versus like a big. So what's your opinion on the differences of that? Yeah, so there's a lot of levels to. Let me do one thing about commercial, right? Mm-hmm. So there's 2 types of commercial. There's commercial that is residential, like apartment complexes and buildings like that. Right. And then there's commercial that's business to business, like, you know, housing a business in a office complex or owning a CVS building and CVS rents it from you, or like having an office space and you got WeWork or somebody in there, like you got people renting spaces out of your office. There's that kind of commercial, but then there's residential commercial. So residential commercial, I believe, when you get into that, like for example, they're building all these brand new apartments right around where I live now, right? Big old like complexes of apartments, right? And they have investors. You could go in as a commercial investor and you could buy, like, let's say one of those buildings has 16 individual apartments in it. You could buy 8 of those apartments and be a commercial real estate investor for residential real estate. So you have the same benefits of residential, like the low risk and stuff. But the difference is if you got 10 houses that you own or that you know you got mortgages on versus having 10 apartments in that apartment complex, the buyers for those houses are different from the buyers for that commercial. Because the people that's buying that commercial are people on a different level. They're investors. Mm-hmm. Whereas the people buying them houses could be consumers that's willing to pay top dollar for those individual houses if you wanted to sell them. But now let's say you're renting them. The difference between renting them, which you have in that portfolio of houses, is you could be the property manager or you could hire a property manager to deal with your houses or whatever. But in that apartment complex where it's commercial, but it's residential commercial, like apartments and stuff, you're at the mercy of like the property management, the company that manages that entire complex, and the builder, you know, whatever rules for you as a buyer of that commercial, you're at their mercy.
So your profit, like you can't set the pricing on that. So your profit margin is dependent on whatever they're doing in there. Whereas if you have 10 houses or whatever, the same number of houses, you set the price on them houses and stuff. But you might have to be a little bit more hands-on. But honestly, that residential would be probably a little bit more profitable than those apartments. But the apartments would probably be more hands-off, like more passive, like you're saying.
More passive, right.
But you might not make as much money on those. And if you had to sell it, it might be a little harder to sell, maybe, depending on the market. But then there's that other commercial where it's businesses, right? Where you own a commercial building, like that dude. I don't know if anybody ever seen that dude, Manny Cosman. He's got a lot of cars and stuff. He does commercial real estate. He's out on the West Coast. But he's buying, like, he might buy a strip mall that's commercial. And he feels this, he'll buy it, clean it up, and then rent it out to businesses, right? And so it's a little bit high, it's like higher risk, but it's higher reward. Because then he's gonna be renting it out for more money than residential. And then when he goes to sell it, you know, it's like in the millions. So his profit might be in the millions, whereas with residential, it might be thousands, you know, tens or hundreds of thousands in residential, where he's trying to make like millions off that commercial by cleaning it up, renting it out. And then once commercial is rented out, then the value is really good for commercial. Now, I don't have a whole lot of experience in the commercial space, but I own one commercial property. And the thing that has held me back in my market from being a bigger commercial investor for that business side that I'm talking about is that in my building, it's a nice area, got nice office condos and everything, but there's always empty ones, bro. Always. And I don't like that. Like with my houses, they ain't not empty, bro. All them apartments and stuff, they fill up all the time. If you want to sell a house, it's gonna sell. And if the market drops, you go be a buyer, you know, buy up all the cribs, because you know, like where I'm at, the employment market is strong.
Right.
So but the thing that scared me about that commercial, like I said, is high risk, high reward. In my office park, there's always empty office spaces in there. So that kind of slowed me down a little bit.
I guess the office space will be, you know, like the scary one, because you're relying on other people to like have like certain businesses that they want to be running out of that office space. But I guess more, I in my head, I was more thinking of like residential commercial, like you were saying, because so for instance, if I was to the point where, let's say I had like an apartment, let's say I had 30 units.
Yep.
You know, if I had 3 units that weren't full, okay, well, I got 27 other people that still pay me rent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Versus if I have one house that's not, you know, and that person decides to move out, now I'm like, for me, I'm like, okay, in my train of thought, like I'm just scrambling to get another person in that home, you know, quicker, because obviously now I'm the one that's paying mortgage on that home until somebody else gets in there.
Yeah.
But like I said, but that's just my train of thought. Now, granted, I'm still trying to get my feet wet with it. So, you know, I just wanted to kind of ask that question to somebody who's deep into it and has the knowledge on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like, but you're right. Like, so if you can afford to get 4 units versus one house, then the 4 units might be more attractive based on what, if you want to hold it for a long, long time. So like for me, my thought process was, how can I make money? How can I make good money? Like ROI, if I invest 100 grand, how can I make the most money with that 100 grand and the lowest risk? So the reason why those individual single family homes are lower risk is because they're easier to sell. That's all.
Right. That's true.
That's it. But if you're in it for the long haul and you bought 4 units, then yeah, you probably could be like, to your point, you could have like one person moves out, you still got the 3 making money for you. So it might be a better investment for your 100 grand to get them 4 units, because you're gonna keep them for 20 years or something like that. Whereas me, like I might be moving my money around, I might be playing around.
Right.
All right, what can I do? I can buy this crib, I'm gonna rent it out. But if the time comes, I can flip this mug and make 100 grand real quick and then do something else. So, but I mean, they're both good investments. The residential side of commercial real estate has the same benefits of residential real estate, as far as like being safe in certain markets and stuff, like compared to like owning an office building where like where I'm at, it doesn't look that safe. Like I haven't done it, you know, and like
even down here in Tampa, man, like you drive by all these different buildings and they all say, you know, for rent or this rent. You could just tell that the parking lot is empty.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whoever owns that spot right there, like,
yeah. But then you drive by like a neighborhood, them neighborhoods, the houses is getting bought, they get sold, and there's people renting stuff in them neighborhoods.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Like I said, you guys, I don't want to keep too much more of your time on your garage trip. Garage trip is having a hard time today.
Yo,
man.
bro.
Oh, I forgot to
Hey, but that's what it is on the channel, man. It's raw and uncut, man. And you know what I'm saying? We bring it to you real. So it was a garage driven, man. You guys got anything else for World Motivation before we let him get out of here?
Y'all can ask me anything, man. I'm an open book.
I've been here, so I got to ask a little bit. Paul, go ahead. If you got anything.
Yo, what got you in the car game anyway? Like, what was that car that made you want to say, yo, I'm in it? What car was that?
Like in my adult life, it was the Huracan. I mean, but I always liked cars. Like from when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, it was like probably the first car I really was like, you know, thought was really I liked the most was like a Trans Am. You know, like a Pontiac Trans Am. Or the Dukes of Hazzard car. You know what I'm saying? Like in Dukes of Hazzard, right? But as an adult, it was. I mean, I had the Corvette. Like you know, like. My progression with cars was like whatever I could afford, but whatever's the fastest thing that I could afford. So like, you know, like, so when I first came out of college, I had like a Ford Pro GT.
I wanted one of those so bad.
That's a good little car. Them cars,
Ford Pro GT, man.
Good cars, bro. They need to bring that back. But I had a Ford GT. I had a Mazda MX-6. I eventually got an RX-7. You know, and when I bought my RX-7 was right when Fast and Furious came out, the first one. So I sold that mug for a profit because it was like the star car in the movie. I had an RX-7, then I got into the Mustang GTs, then I got the WRXs and the STIs. Then I got, you know, like a Corvette. Then I got an M4. Then I got a Nissan GTR. And then I got a Gallardo. You know, but I had probably some other little domestic stuff in between. But you know, all of the little performance models of the stuff I could afford. That's what I was jumping on.
Hey, salute to you, Catfish, man. Appreciate you for tuning in today, man. And you have a good rest of your evening as well.
Jafari Bowden had a comment. He said, "Surprised Will didn't pick up the RS6." I had an S6 one time.
Yeah, that new RS6 is nasty though. I seen like photos of it. That new RS6, Audi killed it on that, man.
Imagine when they tune it. When they tune that thing, it's gonna be ridiculous.
So when they tune it, yeah.
Yo, it's so funny that you said that they should. Oh yeah, with that chip, yeah. Yo, it's funny that you said that they need to bring that back because we just had a video not too long ago about cars that they should bring back, like. Into production, and nobody mentioned the Ford GT, the Ford Pro GT, man. But that was definitely a dope car. We had a little. There it goes, right there.
I remember it looking better than that in my head, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When you pay for it, it always looks better in your head.
Man, but I love the little pop-up lights.
Yep.
But man, I did some road trips, and that thing would do 140 easy. Man. That thing would do 140 miles per hour easy. Floating.
We used to have a little car club back in my high school days. Matter of fact, the car that I talked about that was one of my first cars or whatever, this and that. I had a little Mercury Tracer, but I hooked it up though. I had my 14-inch hook, but it was clean though. You know what I'm saying? But one of my friends had the Ford GT, the Ford Pro GT, man, and you know he put like a little exhaust thing on it, whatever. Man, it was probably the nicest car in our car club, man. I used to
love that car. I used to love that car, man.
Hey, Nino says, so he got a question for you, man. He says, how do you feel about the GTR?
GTR, real nice car. I think I had mine for a little under a year, and fast car. But like when I did the basic bolt-on mods for that car, I expected it to be faster than what it was with the mods that I put on it. So I abandoned the car before I tried to make it really go fast. You know what I'm saying? So I think I had like a 14 or 15 or something like that. No, I had a 16 GTR. So it was a nice car, man. But for the money that I paid for it, I think I paid like 88,000 for mine. I was so close to the Gallardo, which was like a dream car, that I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead. I traded my GTR in for my first Lambo or Gallardo.
Nice.
But I mean, it was a good car if you like the Nissan, the way it looks and everything, then you'll probably love the car. The sound was dope. But yeah, it was the price point was right there around, you know, exotic level, and I had to make that jump, you know.
I would say that's the only thing in my eyes anyway. I don't know how they could chime in and see how they feel, but I do feel that's the one knock on Nissan is Nissan has some very high prices for the cars, even down to like the 370Z. Like a Nismo is like ridiculously expensive, and it's just like for like the regular consumer, it's just like, so you want to pay like, you know, whatever 40 grand for a Nissan 370Z. Or 50 grand almost, you know what I'm saying, for a Nismo edition. Even if you get a used one, they're still like, you know, 30 grand, 20. It's like, come on, man. Like, I could buy so many other things better at that price point. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mod the Fame got a question.
He does. He said, what is the best driver's cars you ever owned?
Two-door, I would say, believe it or not, I'm going to say, believe it or not, two-door, I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna give you a 4-door and I'm gonna give you two-door. I'm figuring out how I'm gonna justify this because my reason might be not a good reason for everybody else. But I'm gonna say a 335, a BMW 335i.
I had that. Yeah, that was my car before my Charger.
Now I'm gonna tell you my reason why, because everybody might say, well, dang, you know, the Lambo's one of the best driver's car or this or that. But two-doors. In that car, you could accidentally do a beautiful drift around the corner by accident and not be scared. Like if you drift in another car, you're like, oh shit, you know, like what's going to do, right? That car, I've drifted in that car in traffic on main roads by accident and wasn't scared. The car just drift, you know, you slide around the corner, you just pick it up and keep going. That car was a driver's car for me. It was balanced and everything. Now was my favorite car.
What year was yours? What year was
my
yours?
335 was like a 2008, I think.
I had a 2007.
Yeah, it was a 7 or 8. That car,
No.
I liked it for that reason. Now 4-door, it was my Audi S6. My Audi S6, man, it did everything good. Wasn't the fastest, but it was smooth. It was fast, comfortable. I don't know. It fit my, you know, when I didn't want to be trying to drive off super fast and stuff, it fit my the things I like. The throttle was real touchy, so it felt like it was a muscle car or something. But best drivers cars, those two cars come to mind over, like, you know, because once you start talking about Lambos and stuff, you got like, is it comfortable? Is it too much attention? Is it too fast in some situations? The Huracan's a really good car though. Huracan is my favorite car out of everything. But if I'm talking about driver characteristics, I'm gonna say the 335 for a 2-door and the S6 for the 4-door. For me personally.
That's dope, man. Hey,
GTR RS7.
Before I let you go, man, I would be remiss if I do not let our guy, you know, modern day muscle, who's taking care of all of our technical stuff in the background. I would be remiss if I don't let him come onto the stream and say what's up to you, man, because he is also taking it all the way back to the beginning, man. He is, you know, he's a computer guy as well, man. He's this is his background. He has a computer science degree. That's his, you know, by trade. So this is what he does, man. So I'll be remiss if I don't bring him on the screen or on the stream as well, man, and let you, you know, chop it up with you for a little bit before we let you go. So let's go ahead and bring in modern day muscle, man. There he goes, right there.
What's good, brother? I think you're on mute.
Man, it was a pleasure to hear from you. And you, when you was talking about the coding, and that was like your job by trade, I was like, oh man, I can relate.
Are you a coder?
I'm actually a motion graphics designer, but I also I code websites as well on the side.
Okay, yeah. I think my next video I'm gonna, because some people start asking me how come I don't talk about my main business as much as I talk about the real estate. So I think my next video is gonna be about, you know, like people need to realize, like, you come out with a computer science degree, you want to write code, you can easily make 6 figures, you know, coming out of.
Oh yeah, like I have an example. There was I graduated from Full Sail. There was a web designer there. He was 18 years old, and LinkedIn was looking for a new hire, and they liked what the kid was doing. They saw his portfolio, saw his websites, and they gave him a 6-figure job. Flew him out to Cali, and he finished the rest of Full Sail online. 18 years old, man.
And he went to go work directly for LinkedIn.
Yep.
So
they flew. Say what?
Is he a Microsoft employee now?
I guess so. I mean, I don't really I don't keep in touch with him. I just happened to be there at the time when it happened. I actually didn't know him from a hole in the wall, but they just hired him on the spot, and he was able to continue his education online.
That's
but
great.
Yeah, I would assume he's a Microsoft employee now, but you know, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you're talking about, you know, the business that makes money, what would you say, like your main business, I should say, what would you say the percentage of that is? Because, you know, your income is diversified, and you're trying to, you know, talk about real estate. You're trying to talk about Paul's got something funny going on. You're talking about real estate. You're talking about code, apps and stuff like that. So what would you say, like how, and YouTube as well, because you get an income from YouTube. What would you say, like is it all revolving? Does it all funnel back into real estate? You know what I mean? Like that type of question. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I can give you a couple of answers. So that main business that I talked about, where I built a social network, I wrote some code and blew it up, and, you know, it makes money through recruitment advertising primarily, is probably 70% of my all. If you put all 3 of my companies together, that company makes up probably 70% of my revenue. The real estate would be second, and that, you know, that probably makes up 20%, and then my software company probably makes up 10 to 15%, something like that. So and now to answer that second part of your question, as far as like kind of how I'm then manage it, right now, like in the past, like from like 2010 to 2000, let's say 2018, 2010 to 2018, I was taking almost all. I would keep about $100,000 in the bank for emergencies or whatever, just to feel healthy, right? So I just keep that in the bank, right? Then, and that's for my business, not for me personally. Like in my personal bank account, I might have like a few $1,000s. That's it. But for my business, right, and I have employees and stuff, right? So I would keep like 100 grand in there. Then everything that I was making from 2010 to about 2018, I was investing mostly in real estate. Then once the real estate market got high and I couldn't buy cheap houses anymore, then I start like saving money again. Because if the market drops again, then I'm gonna be ready to buy some more real estate. But now I'll do a flip here and there. When an opportunity pops up, I'll buy a property and not take me 3 months, and I'll get my money back and plus a profit, and then I'll just save it because I'm watching what the real estate market is doing. Now I might get to a point where the real estate market just keeps going up, and then the conversation FaTKaT and I were having was about commercial. I might be more in a position to get into some commercial, which is higher risk but higher reward. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm in like a saving kind of watch and see mode with a flip here and there on the real estate. But all of that saving money is, I'm looking at some other things for my main business to make it stronger, right? Like to invest in new employees. Like I'm hiring people right now. I started another company, like a spinoff. Like I didn't start a whole nother LLC, but I started another website that has
Right.
like an own brand. I started another brand, I should say, that can have different types of clients for it and generate some more revenue. So it's like an investment pool of money to do stuff with, you know. But yeah, for like 8 years, I was revolving that money into real estate and paying my people and stuff, my team and stuff.
That's a good. That's actually great to hear.
Now,
that's actually.
Let me back up a little bit real fast. So I don't want people to think like, because I'm talking about $100,000 here and there, or like I saved up $300,000. When I came out of college, I was making $35,000 a year. I probably went up the ladder to about 50 or 60,000. I quit as a software developer. I quit my job to make more money, and I jumped my salary up to like 75,000. In 1 year, I jumped it up to 75,000. In the meantime, when I quit, I started a side business that didn't make any money, but it was a side business. It was getting on its feet, right? So I started like using my time as an investment into some type of thing that would make money in the future. So I was making 75K. Then I went back to my old job after I started my side business, and I made 80K a year. So I was able to save up. When you're making 80K a year, you can save some money, right? So I saved up right? So I saved up about 30,000 over like the next 4 years. Not a lot, right? But you know, something, right? So I saved up about 30 grand, and I had a side hustle going on that wasn't making anything for 2 or 3 years. Then it started making a little bit, like 8,000. So I had like 30,000 plus 8,000. Then the next year I made maybe 16,000, right? Then I'm like, if I quit and run this full time, it could be anything. Maybe I have no ceiling then. So then I quit, and I went from making $80,000 or $90,000 a year to, as a business, maybe making a couple $100,000 a year or 150,000. I don't know what the first year was like, because I've never really even looked at my revenue like that. I just make sure I can pay everything. Mm-hmm. So, but I started making more money through those investments. But I never went and like asked my mom and dad to give me a loan. I never went to the bank and said, I got like a SBA loan for like 25,000 just to have something to pay my people, that kind of thing. But like all of this was years and years of building on top of what was there. So I never.
Go ahead.
I just want to make it. I just want people to see that it's not like an overnight sensation or something like that.
What I'm understanding is that you had a goal in mind and a plan, and you stayed focused.
Definitely stay focused. Yeah.
Yeah, you stayed focused, and you didn't let like outside distractions deter you from what you were doing. So even though you saved up that 30 grand, you was able to apply it to things that actually mattered. And then the things that you invested at that point was time, because you invested years, and now you're reaping the benefits. That's really awesome to hear.
I was investing time, and I was paying like my little $100 a month for my little web server. Mm-hmm. I could get on my little web server and write some code, you know. But I was putting in that time. But then when I got the business on its own 2 feet, it took me 10 years to save up 300,000. So every year with my business, maybe I save 30 grand on average. So for a business that's making, you know, like 6 figures to close maybe 7 figures a year, if I'm lucky or something like that, for a small business, you know, like it's doable. You know, like once you get out there, and like to make 6 figures for a business, that's like normal. To make 7 figures, there's a lot of small business out there that can make 7 figures. But I don't want people to think like it's not attainable, because it took me, you know, 10 years to get to that point. Then I got in the game with the real estate. And then you can turbocharge some stuff once you get in the real estate game.
So I think the main thing to take away from everything that you're saying is, you know, a lot of people think that success is instant. Like they want to add some water and boom, there you go, I'm a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? So I think everything that you're saying is, it takes time, man. Like if you really take it, if you're listening to what Will Motivation is saying, I mean, he's had 10 to 15 years invested in things that he's building to get, you know, Lambos and, you know, real estate and things like that. So like I said, I think one of the downfalls of social media is that people see the Instagrams, people see the YouTubes, and they're like, I want that. So I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, or I'm gonna start, whatever business. And within 3 months, I should have everything that this guy has. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not reality. Some people get lucky. Some people get lucky. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's not like that. It takes years and years and years of building, and what I'm saying, to get where those people that you see on social media and those people that you see, whatever, that guy that's driving the Porsche down the street or whatever, this and that, it takes years and years and years to get to that level. Right?
Yeah, unless you get lucky. But then once you start becoming entrepreneurial, a lot of your time is everything, because like time is money. So like you start putting wherever you put your time, you're gonna get something back out of it, whatever it is.
Right.
So that's like with the YouTube. I don't make a whole lot of money on YouTube, but it could pay for that Aventador. At this point, it could pay that car payment on a Aventador. But I had to put time into it. Now something for me that's just for fun, but it's a business at the same time. It's a business, so it's a revenue stream. I did an online course. I mean, that online course, that it did all right. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit extra. Right. It's not my main thing, but it's time that I spent and I got a return. So so when I start talking about numbers, I want people to just be clear that it's not no overnight stuff. It was not something like somebody gave me. It was just me using my time wisely towards things that would have some type of good return on investment at that time. For years, like in my business, I started my business in 1999, so that's 21 years. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get a Lambo until probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So I have been in business 14, 15 years.
Right.
And I had my real estate investments, going quite well. You know what I'm saying? So stuff started making sense to be able to do that for me, But before I had those real estate investments, I wasn't touching no Lambos. I wasn't even thinking about it. It wasn't even on the radar, the map at all.
I think, like I said, I was into looking at a lot of those guys like Ty Lopez, and there was a few other guys that I was watching about things like that. This is all when I was getting ready to get out the military, so I was like, I was like super hype. I was like in super hyper mode of entrepreneur and everything else. Mm-hmm. And one of the main things that I took away from a lot of those people that were talking was, or at least watching the videos, was, they don't, things that they get. So for instance, another asset like a Lambo or toys or whatever it is, or whatever toys that they get, they establish another income stream to pay for that.
Yeah.
Not off of whatever they already had.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if I want to go buy another car, I want to go buy a Lambo that costs whatever, I'm going to build the income stream that's going to pay for that asset.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to buy it off of whatever I got.
Yeah.
So like you just said, the Lambo that you had, this is off of a stream that, an income stream that you already had. That's like, okay, I'm going to use this to pay for that. Yeah. But it's not off of what I already have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and because then it starts making, because you're talking about big amounts of money.
Right.
So you got to make, if you don't just, somebody just gave you millions of dollars, if you're somebody that had to earn that money, it's got to make sense.
Right.
So I had to earn all, I had to put in mad hours of my life, sacrifices. So it had to make sense. So I had to the YouTube was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. I see Stradman out here doing it. I could do that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to share my experiences. So even if I don't make any money, if somebody comes back and says, hey, I like that video because I learned something and I'm going to apply it to my life, that's payback for me. Starts to make sense.
Well, hey, man, I think, and that's, I don't know if you guys have anything else for World Motivation. If not, we're going to cut them loose here.
Thanks for coming onto the stream. I think you dropped a lot of knowledge. I hope people that are watching take what he said seriously. Focus on take something you have and focus on it to get your return on investment.
Yes, sir. I mean, and I appreciate you having me. I'm always happy to share whatever I can share with people. That's why I try to tell people I don't have no secrets. I'm an open book. Because my whole point of doing YouTube and leveraging these cars is to get people's attention and try to share something with them. So that's what it is.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you coming on for sure.
My pleasure.
A lot of free knowledge there.
Yeah, we'll have to do a live stream on my channel too. You know.
For sure, man. We definitely.
And I'll pick you guys' brain.
Yeah, for sure, man. We'll definitely be. I'm definitely game for sure, man. But hey, Will Motivation, man, I greatly appreciate you coming on today, man. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to have you on here. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of technical difficulties today, but still, at the end of the day, like I said, I appreciate you for coming on here, dropping knowledge, dropping jewels, as you do on your channel as well, man. So if you guys, for whatever reason, have not checked out his channel, man, please make sure you guys check out Will Motivation, man. This is what he does literally on his channel. Every single video is not only show what he has or whatever, which is nice. You know, you like to kind of see what people got, what they got going on. You like to see that they, you know, things that they buy and build or whatever. But he also drops a lot of knowledge and shows you, or tells you, you know, how you can attain these things, man. So again, man, I appreciate you for coming on here for the Free Smoke. You know, we'll definitely revisit this sometime in the future. Either we'll come on your channel, or you know, maybe sometime in the couple, you know, whatever in the future, we'll have you back on here when we got some other things going on. But for this time, man, I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Humble, man, super humble, man. Like, you would never know that you're like this successful in life. Just meeting you in person, like I said, when I met you in person, I mean, like I said, I would never, other than those Lambos sitting in your driveway, you wouldn't, you know, you just couldn't tell, man. Which is the perfect combination of somebody who's successful but still remains humble in life and is willing to bring others along with them and show them all the knowledge and gain, you know, show them exactly the steps to take in order to get, you know, to the level that they're at, man. So again, thank you very much. I think I speak for all of us. We greatly appreciate you for coming on, man.
Likewise.
From you know, from another perspective, I would say, gracias mi hermano por venir al canal of Free Smoke. And like I said, man, we humbly accept or appreciate you coming on here. And like I said, we'll do it again in the future, man.
Hey.
But that's all we have, man. I greatly appreciate you guys again for checking out the Free Smoke channel, man. This is every single Sunday. We're live every single Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Like I said, next week we have FaTKaT Enforcer will be on.
Dope.
So FaTKaT Enforcer will be on next week, man. So we'll definitely, you know, be able to pick his brain as well. But again, for this Sunday, man, appreciate you again, Will Motivation, for taking the time out of your day, out of your Sunday fun day, as we like to call it.
My pleasure, brother. Hey, thanks for having me, man. And we'll do something on my channel in December when things slow down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
For sure. Good. All right, man. Appreciate you guys again, man. Have a blessed Sunday. Have a blessed rest of your week. We out of here, man. You're watching Free Smoke. Hit that like button if you haven't already, man. Share with your family. Subscribe if you haven't either. Also, subscribe to my man, Will Motivation. All his information is in the description below. We greatly appreciate you guys. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed week. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And other than that, man, we out of here. Free Smoke. Appreciate y'all, man. Peace.